What's up, guys? Welcome indeed back to the channel, or if it's your first time here, welcome indeed. So let's get started with a brand new character for 3.2. The Forbidden Sanctum. This is going to be a brand new player's guide. This is going to be for beginners, so we're going to have to start off with creating a character. So what we want to make sure we have selected is Sanctum, and don't check in any of the boxes, but Sanctum is the one that's going to have the new content, so select Sanctum and then hit OK. Now we're greeted by the character class choices. So just as a heads up, if you are brand new to Path of Exile, I recommend you to select the exact same character class that I will be selecting. However, this is more so a guide for Path of Exile in general, so if you do want to select another class, you can do so, but it's going to make things a lot more difficult. So our plan for the build is anything really with projectiles. I'm going to start off with Lightning Arrow. We can go into Tornado Shot and then Venom Gyre. Those are all really great options for what we're going to be doing, and it's a really beginner-friendly build. So it's going to be like a ranged build, but we can get really close to our targets if we want to, so we can get more damage. It's kind of up to you and what you want to do with the build, but for the most part, it's going to be a ranged build. So getting started, we're going to go ahead and select the Ranger, and you're going to have to name your character. So since this is Forbidden Sanctum, I'm just going to put FS for Forbidden Sanctum. This way I know this character's for this league. It kind of helps me out because I have tons and tons of characters. So starting right off in the very beginning of the game, you'll notice maybe that my UI is going to be a little bit different with the placements of certain like keybinds. If you want to select different keybinds, just go into the options. Here are all of mine in case you want to copy them really quick. As some of the mini-map changes, some of these really help me out. I also have what's called a loot filter, so it's going to basically get rid of certain items in the game, but I'm just going to go ahead and mention that change your keybinds. You may want different ones than I have, and that's totally okay. But these are just the ones that I have set, so if I say I'm pressing this key, these are just my keybinds. Most of them are default, but I have like move, and some of the other buttons may be a little bit different. But this is what I have shown up. One thing that I do really recommend you guys to do is actually change up the opacity of the landscape. What this does, if you look at the top right, it basically gets rid of the unnecessary information. So I really like getting rid of that, and I also really like having the map transparency at maximum. So these are one settings that I really recommend you guys to look at is the map, because this matters a lot, and it just is really helpful. It kind of cleans it up a bit. So another thing I want to mention with Path of Exile, this game is not easy. If you watch a lot of guides, they kind of give you like a 20-minute tutorial, but it doesn't really get a beginner ready to actually play the game. I'm going to go ahead and really quickly mention some things if you want to. Okay, so I have a couple other videos that show off there's different builds if you're interested in perhaps playing a different build. In Lake of Calandra, we played more of a Spellcaster. If you're interested in playing a Spellcaster, feel free to go ahead and check out that video. Or if you're interested in being a Summoner, I have a Summoner's Guide already up, and it's got all of the timestamps. This is something very important if you guys are brand new to the game. Make sure you check the timestamps in this video, as well as if you're watching the guide for like a completely different build, because the timestamps will really help out with like the important quests that you want to do that give your character some sort of advancement. I also have what's called a loot filter on, and if you guys do want to get a loot filter, feel free to do so, but I know that it can be overwhelming with a bunch of downloads and stuff at the very start of a game, because that's just how Path of Exile is. If you really want to min-max, you're going to have to need to do certain things. But let's go ahead and finally get started. I know it's kind of a long explanation, but this is the complexity of this game. So, starting right off, if you select the Ranger, you're going to have a bow to pick up over here. We're going to go ahead and we'll skip the tutorials, but I'll explain things as we go along here. So if you want to put this on another monitor, or if you want to throw it on your phone, we'll kind of watch side by side, feel free to do that, as this game has a lot of mechanics. So I'm going to, a lot of people like left click on move, so I'm going to make it so this is move only. I also like to use Q for movement for myself. But in the very beginning, we also need an attack, so I'm going to use E for attack, but use whatever button you want for attack. We're not going to be listening to the audio dialogue for the story, but feel free to if you want to. So we unlocked our first skill, which is Burning Arrow. We're going to left click on it and then put it inside of our bow, which has a green socket. You'll notice that these are linked, and we'll talk more about that in a moment, but we're just going to continue. Now, instead of default attack, if I want to, I can use Burning Arrow. I'm going to put Burning Arrow on W, and that's going to use our mana. That's the thing on the right. That's basically our energy. But if you played any action RPG before, like Diablo, then you'll kind of know the bottom left, that red orb, that's our HP. And on the right side, that is our mana, which is our MP. When we are out of MP, we cannot use our abilities that cost mana. So we're just going to go ahead and walk around. We're going to eventually come up to a large chest. Your map may differ a little bit. It's kind of how the random map generation works in this game. But now we have something called Pierce support. So what this allows us to do, you'll see where it says supported skills. It has a little check mark. We're going to put this inside our bow. Don't worry, you'll have the exact same one. This always drops from that box. And what that's going to allow us to do is have Pierce. And so this is a support gem. This is an active gem. This is a support gem. So the support gem makes it so it pierces additional targets, which is good right now, but later down the line, it may not be good for our build because we're going to be using something called chain, and that lets the arrow bounce to other targets. Don't worry about killing every single thing that you see. But if you want to activate your potions, you'll see in the 1 through 5 slot, we'll have some potions. The blue one is for mana, the red one is for HP. It's pretty self-explanatory, but just shoot and move. The biggest thing with Path of Exile is basically just shooting and moving will give you the biggest advantage in the game in terms of survivability. Standing still is never really a good option. You'll see that we have some items. Some of these items we cannot use. I think Diablo 1 is like the only game that lets you equip unidentified items, but you gotta identify items to use them. And some may have some like requirement. We start off with some scrolls of identity. We're gonna identify this because it's a yellow item. Yellow items will have more stats rolled on it than blue ones. And then this bow, we cannot dual wield bow, so we're just gonna get rid of it. So we can sell our items if we want to. We can hold control and left click, and that's gonna put our items here, and it basically just sells the item. We'll get some small little stuff from the NPC. We're going to be buying some other things later down the line. We can see all these other skills if we want to select other skills. That is an option as well. I really like having split arrow in the very beginning because it lets you hit multiple targets, but these are our other gems and they just cost a scroll of wisdom. Later we can change these things, but we can, let's say if we want to run galvanic arrow, we can grab that. But remember, we only have a few scrolls of wisdom in the very beginning, but don't worry, we can get other skills later. I'm just going to pick up one just so I can show you guys more skills. Now, I know it looks overwhelming. This is the passive tree. I believe P is the default. It might be S. But anyways, just click right here when you have a skill point. We are actually going to be getting some attack speed earlier on, and then we can respec. So in this game, these choices are semi-permanent. You're going to have to require yourself to get something called a Orb of Regret to change it later down the line. But if you see any NPCs with exclamation marks on their head, just click on them. It's usually the start of a quest, but sometimes you'll also get a reward. So you can see Split Arrow was a reward over here. So if I want to, I'm just grabbing another one over here just so I can show you guys a few different skills. Then we're going to click on the coast and we're going to advance over here. So now I got a new skill, so we're going to try Galvanic Arrow. I'm going to remove our Burning Arrow. I could either remove it this way and do it like this, or I could just place it right on top. That also works. But now we have a completely new skill to play with, so let's go ahead and try out this skill. I'm just here to kind of show you guys the different skills here. But yeah, like I said, if you don't prefer a bow playstyle, feel free to play something else if you want. I have a, well, the ones that I would recommend you guys to check out, especially for beginners, minions are great. Are a great choice. Another great choice that I really like is Arc. And now we're going to try Split Arrow. So I'll show you guys all the differences between the skills that we just got. Sometimes, by the way, day one on the servers, they could be a little bit laggy. If you want, you can hold, you can hit F1, you can see the latency. But yeah, day one, sometimes the servers can be stressed, so if you're like, if your game disconnects or whatever, don't worry too much about it. But look at all those arrows coming out with the Split Arrow. That's quite nice. And if you want to see your damage, you can hit C as in cat. It's going to open up your character page, and you can click on the skill over here, and it'll tell you the damage. So you can see this does 23 damage, but if I swap to Galvanic Arrow, we hit for 20. But some of these will do different effects, and it depends on what you actually want to actually do. Maybe you want to do lightning damage. Maybe you really like applying what's called shock. It's, again, completely up to you. I like doing Split Arrow earlier on. Ice Shot is also a pretty great choice earlier on. But some skills will scale better than others. So what we're looking to do is just grab a waypoint. And if you see any chests, some boxes, feel free to open them. Those impaled corpses, they can drop items. We have a buckler. We can't really use that. Right now, we can technically go claws, and we can almost have a very similar playstyle because we're just scaling like projectiles. But for the most part, just kind of copy the tree and you'll have a much better time. Now we're going to enter the mudflats. Oh, I should probably explain this. This is what's called a waypoint. If you play Diablo, it's the exact same mechanic. So this lets us go right back into town if we want to go back into town. We don't need to go back into town right now, so we're not going to go and do it. But what we're looking to do is, there's actually the coast over here. So we have the coast, and there is another area. What I should explain also is actually this. So you'll see that there's an objective over here. If we go to the mudflats, we're up. But if we go like kind of down and to the right, we'll have a different area, and it's unknown right now. But it's part of a quest, and it's going to give us a Quicksilver Flask, which allows us to go a little bit faster through the campaign. So we're going to go to Tidal Island. And we'll eventually get portal scrolls, but in the very beginning, since they are a little bit more scarce, we can actually just leave the game. It's actually a legit strategy to just leave the game and go back to the menu, so you respawn back in town. It just makes things faster. So what we're looking for is the medicine chest in the Tidal Island. This boss is actually very, very difficult, so if you die on it, don't worry. This is actually one of the most difficult bosses that you come across earlier on in the game. But just keep on shooting and moving, and you'll be okay. The reason why he's a little bit difficult is earlier on, you don't have very much movement speed, and once he hits you, he'll applying what's called a chill, and that just makes you move a little bit slower, making it easier to get hit. And the game does not pause if you like open up your skill tree. So just keep shooting him, like shoot once, move, and you'll be okay. You also want to get rid of anything over here, for the most part, that comes up that can chill you. These witches can chill you. So just shoot once, move, and you'll be okay. So I have what's called a loot filter, and certain sounds like quest items, they'll make a certain sound. If you want to in the very beginning, you can pick up basically almost all the items. The reason why is because you don't really have any items, and you just want to get some what's called scroll fragments to get scrolls of wisdom. These identify items. If you want to identify an item, you right click on it and then it identifies it. But I'm just going to keep all these unidentified because I just want to sell them for some small currency from the vendor. So in this game, you don't really have gold. All currency is basically things that modify items. So right now, we could walk all the way back, but this is way faster. Just go to the character selection and then just double click on the character again, or just log in and you'll be right back in town. This saves you some time after you get the medicine chest from that quest. Then we're going to go talk to the NPC. We want the Quicksilver Flask, get that as reward. We also have a chance to select a different support gem. You can see where it says the check mark, that means it will work with it. Mirage Archer is actually really great, and I'm actually going to be using 2 skills when we get the chance to do so. So we're going to go to Pestle, and we're going to go see if we can find an item. You see that that we can actually utilize. These are really great in the very beginning. Just like this costs an alteration. Getting iron rings earlier on, just a small amount of damage is actually quite nice. I'm just going to go pick this up just so I can grab it. You can see some of these will cost other things. We're just going to go and sell all the items that we picked up because we really don't need any of these. And we'll get some small stuff. And this will let us get more stuff later.
Farewell. Greetings.
So if we go to purchase items, we can maybe get another item here. If we can see, oh, here's perfect. There is a item that has 2 greens. So we'll mess around with that one more likely. If I see a 3-linked item, that would be even better. This one's 3-linked, but it has a blue. So the colors do matter. The green gems go in green holes. The blue ones would go in the blue. You know, it's kind of self-explanatory there. So that one costs an armor or scrap. Certain things will cost certain things that you may not have. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. This costs 2 scrolls of wisdom, but I heavily recommend anyone to get movement speed boots if you can. I believe you can type in NN and it'll give you movement speed boots if you want to use that little filter there. We have another skill point. We're just going to go and put it into extra projectile damage. I'm actually going to scale a lot of attack speed earlier on. The reason why I like to get attack speed and movement speed earlier on is it significantly increases how fast we get certain things done in the game. But if you're enjoying the little burning arrow, or if you prefer a galvanic arrow, hey, feel free to go ahead and select the ones that you want. But we just got, instead of, where is it? Oh, we can't run Mirage Archer till 4. But we're looking for specifically items that have the link. Oh, this one has a link. So this one would be better for us right now. So I can put this in our helm. And now I can run, let's say I want to run Burning Arrow so I can get some Ignite. And I'm going to also throw in this later on, which will be great. So now we're going to incorporate 2 skills. It's optional if you want to do this, by the way. It's just going to apply a burn. So the burn can start doing some more damage. And when you start playing this game, you'll notice certain skills will level up. Just click on the plus sign. You'll always will want to level up your gems for the most part in the very beginning. And I'll explain later why we won't want to upgrade certain gems. It really comes down to either mana costs or certain thresholds that need to be met. These rowers are very dangerous, but if you have skills to level them up, it makes things much easier. And we are finally level 4. So once we kill these enemies over here, we're going to be able to throw in our Mirage Archer support. I'll show you what that does, which is really cool. So I'm going to throw in this Mirage Archer support right there. And what that's going to do is above our head, once we shoot once for a short duration, it's going to put up a clone of ourselves on top. Now what we're looking for in this area called the Mud Flaps is look for these yellow exclamation marks. We're collecting some she shells to progress into the next area. And when certain items drop, my filter has sounds, and I'll mention it. You can also get more mana flasks. It's going to auto-equip most stuff for you in the very beginning. But what I'm trying to do right now is I shoot once to activate that thing. It's really, really helpful. So we can get some extra burn damage in to some of the elites. Okay, cool. This has movement speed, so I can't really replace this, but it's got 2 green sockets, which is nice. And there's an area we can go over there, which is for a skill point reset. So you can reset some of your skills, but now that we've collected all of these seashells, which I believe is 3, we go to this wall over here, and then it puts them in, and then we get to go to the submerged passage. So now we're in the next area. We have 2 more skill points. I'm going to go ahead and put it into attack speed. Later we will respec, but in the very beginning I heavily, again, value attack speed and movement speed because it makes the game feel much, much better. So we're going to go ahead and continue on over here. And if I want to, I can throw in these iron gauntlets. So let me explain the different forms of defenses in this game. Because there's armor, there's what's called energy shield, and there's called evasion rating. So armor gives you a reduction in the damage that you take, depending on what type of damage it is. Resistances like cold, fire, lightning resistance, those will all give you corresponding resistances to whatever the type is. But we're going to be scaling elemental pretty soon, so if I want to, what we can do is we can level up these gems. Even if I don't want to, let's say, use the skill, I can still level it up if I want to. So pretty much what I would recommend most people to do is try to kill all of the elites. Those are our unique monsters, the blues, the yellows that you see in the game. As they have a better chance to drop better gear. So you can see we're completely frozen right now. That could be very dangerous. Oh, we got another green linked over here. Okay, cool. But you see this is unidentified. I can't equip it. So if I want to identify it, bam, there we go. Now we have an item over here. Now, for some speedruns, people will not run armor, but don't do that, especially as a beginner player. There's a hidden like -3% movement speed if you equip like armor, but it doesn't really matter. It's just for speedrunning. Oh, nice. We got another iron ring. Now, what we can do actually is use Ice Shot. Ice Shot is fantastic. I'm going to show off what Ice Shot does in a moment when we actually get to like the next zone. We'll run a different skill. But I'm just here to kind of show you the different skills as well. So you can see this enemy is in blue. But leveling up with Ice Shot is actually pretty nice. I just like Split Arrow because it hits like multiple targets earlier on. And if the density is high enough, it's quite nice. Oh, we're coming up to our first monster that has Essence. Essences are fantastic. You have a no scroll wisdom. Oh, we have an Orb of Alchemy. That's great to get earlier on. So this is like a small form of currency. So in this game, you don't have like gold like you would have in maybe some action RPGs. Instead, all of the money in this game is things that modify items. So things to re-roll items, things to add things to items. Those are all part of it. So these monsters can be a little bit dangerous here, but we're going to go ahead and open it up. And what it's going to do is the monster is imprisoned. You may not see it at the exact same time. Again, some of these maps, they're different because it's a procedurally generated game. Ooh, we're coming up to the very first Forbidden Sanctum mechanic, which is going to be awesome. So just keep shooting and moving. Don't feel like you have to kill every single enemy, but keep moving it. Shoot once, twice, move. Especially in this area, it's weird that Act 1 is actually quite difficult compared to the other acts, and that's because like your character is like, you know, just starting out. Okay, so what I want to do now, normally like I could log out, but I'll show you guys like a portal scroll. You right click on it, it makes a portal, you go back to town. It's not anything too special or too big to mention, but I want to go ahead and actually see if we can sell some of these items, so we can get different things. So. But this is the same over here. We just have some life regen. I don't need that one. I really want to keep the movement speed on our boots. This, if I really wanted it linked, sure, we can maybe keep it. But it gives us an extra gem slot. So I'm going to go ahead and actually keep it for that reason. And then we don't have a scroll of identity that I can use because I want to actually purchase another skill. So what we can do, we go to the second page over here, and you'll see that there's going to be more gems come out as you progress in the game. I really want to get the Shrapnel Ballista over here, so I'm going to grab the Shrapnel Ballista, and we can throw it in. And I really want to get Onslaught, but I don't have a Scroll of Wisdom here, so let's see if we can get, we can move this over here. Sometimes you just got to play inventory Tetris, and you got to move some stuff, so this one gives us some extra evasion rating, a lot more. Primarily, we're going to be focusing in on evasion rating for our forms of defense. So I mentioned, okay, I wasn't finished. I talked about armor. It gives you some reduction. And then you have energy shield, which is basically more HP that goes over your HP. So it takes damage from the energy first, and then you lose it, lose health after that. Evasion makes it so you actually just you evade the attack, so you take no damage. It's actually kind of like one of my favorite forms of defenses, because if you just don't get hit, you're perfectly fine. So you can see some of these will give you different stats over here, like this one grants us extra mana. This is for a belt. I have another belt, but I don't have a Scroll of Wisdom, unfortunately, to identify my things. Now, if I want to get a Scroll of Wisdom, the easiest thing is just to pick up, like, basically other items and just sell them. This item, though, if you get any essences, we don't want to get rid of the essences. What I usually do is I modify rings with essences earlier on. So this one, essence of greed. If we put on a weapon, we get physical attack damage leech does life. That can be kind of nice to get in the very beginning. Just a small amount of recovery. I'm just going to throw on a ring because, well, we got this coral ring too. That can give us some extra life. If we get a sapphire ring, that would give us extra cold resistance, which we can get by selling like a blue gem. But I'm going to go ahead and put in the next skill point. So we're just going to go over here, get more attack speed, and then we're going to start getting some extra life, because we're going to need it. So Tarkly, we can talk to him over here, and he's going to give us another reward. Do I want any of these? Oh, he just gave us Shrapnel Ballista. I guess we could have gotten out of that. And then we also get Dash as a reward. Farewell. So now I need to put Dash somewhere, and I'm going to now put Dash on W, because I don't really need my normal attack now. And then we can go right back into the portal, and it's going to put us right back in. And we're going to actually do the brand new League mechanic. So this is new to me too. I've never done this because, well, it just came out today. So we can actually throw down our Shrapnel Ballistas. And these will basically act as little turrets. So I'm not sure how this works. So I guess we go inside, and we're going to select a room. And different rooms have different rewards, but depending on the difficulty, this could matter. So if I want to get the major reward, let's go for that major reward. Okay. So, oh, we select a room? Or how does this work? Store a room later. Okay. Oh, we have to start off on this one. Oh, then it opens up, and then we get to the next one in the next area. So how this works is we have HP, and I'm not talking about the HP in the bottom left. I'm talking about this thing called Resolve. So we can attack this enemy over here, and he can't hit us back. Awesome. I'm going to Orb of Chance that creates an item. It goes a random rarity. But we want to not get hit, because when we get hit, that's going to reduce our resolve. Once the resolve goes all the way down, we don't die, but what happens is the area just ends. Let's see what this reward is going to give us, though. So again, the whole key with our character, and if you're like more of a veteran or advanced player, I'll also throw in some POBs to kind of like what we plan to do, some more min-maxing on like PoE Ninja in terms of like some of the advanced choices that we'll have later down the line, in case anyone does want to kind of copy this build. But our plan is to go Lightning Arrow because I like it in the very beginning. It just scales very well. So what do we get? We got some Aureus. Okay, so that's some other brand new form of currency. Wraith over here. We get that Orb of Chance. Alright. So I'm not sure what we can get with those earlier on. But getting an Orb of Chance, you know, earlier on, kind of nice. Get some extra portal scrolls. All this is great stuff. Alright, so now we have another skill point. More projectile damage. And we'll try some of the newer skills too. So now I guess we get our rewards. Oh, okay. More Aureus. Okay, that's it. So I'm not sure if later down the line we can use that to buy something. That's my guess. So now we just go back. And as we progress, we're going to get like a next floor in that section. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Flooded Depths. Sometimes you might find this. Sometimes you'll find the other exit earlier on. But we're going to go here because there is a skill point quest over here that we want to basically do. And I'll put all the timestamps down below for like, you know, the skill points. So as far as the Forbidden Sanctum goes, I think it's probably still worth it to do. We can actually go in and we'll do like one area for like the playthrough. This is going to significantly increase the speed. Okay, so contains oh, these are all treasure. I'm gonna do the major treasure reward. This could be risky though. They even said that like they expect people to actually fail these earlier on, so if you die or if I die, it's fine, don't worry about it. Sometimes with the new like league mechanic, which is like the brand new like expansion stuff, they make some of the stuff very hard to do earlier on, like at lower levels. Oh, that actually applies like a chill. I wonder if some of those can be activated and damage the enemies as well. There's supposed to be some sort of rogue-like element to this. So we got more of that, like the gold. Do I have to actually walk over it? You do. Okay, so it doesn't have like a vacuum effect to suck them all up. You actually have to walk over it, so it's kind of important. But yeah, getting these shrapnel ballistas makes things significantly easier. I think minions are going to be pretty good for this. Because I was unsure if minions would actually cause us to lose resolve, but since it doesn't, oh, we got a 3-link, massive. So next when we get onslaught, it's gonna be great. I actually want to throw this Essence of Greed on. Getting a 3-link earlier on, it's just a little bit nicer to have, to be honest. So we can throw this in now. We can throw Pierce, and we have Split Arrow, and we have some extra lightning damage. I don't need this anymore. I'm just gonna throw it on the ground. This is awesome. Yeah, if you have essences, you could throw it on a weapon or any item that has like a couple links earlier on. Specifically getting 3 earlier on is not super common. So getting it earlier on will allow us to throw in one more like support gem. And you can have multiple skills in one like item. Like I could throw my Shrapnel Ballista if I wanted to get it to have Pierce. Although I'm not sure if Shrapnel Ballista even can really benefit off of Pierce. So we got an enemy over here. But this was supposed to be major reward. So obviously it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but that's the price we pay. So if you see any red, blue, and green, and they're all linked, that can be fantastic to pick up. We got this chain belt, so this one's identified. We can use it. Got a helmet over here that has 3 links, and that could be useful. We get like elemental damage added to attacks. Ooh, we gotta level up. Make sure we continuously level up all your gems. There's a lot of like upkeep in the very beginning, and now we're gonna get some more life over here. We get some extra movement speed and elemental resistance, more damage. So now we get our rewards. Let's see what we get. So is this all this is giving us is this Aureus. So I'm guessing later we can spend it towards the very end. Okay. But yeah, we'll engage with the mechanic a little bit more as we progress. Just the first act in this game is the longest and is probably one of the most difficult. But now with that added like damage, it's going to make things easier. Yeah, we're going to go from the Flooded Depths over here. And we'll probably actually TP out back to town, or we can just log out and we can just waypoint back in. And we should get what's called Onslaught. And Onslaught is going to give us increased movement speed and attack speed. Just makes things much faster. for progression. But again, mostly you want to kill all of the blues. Blues and yellows. Kill those. And the movement skill that we use is dash. Different classes can get different ones, but getting dash earlier on is nice. Oh, we could probably use that Quicksilver Flask. Let's throw that in. I like to have that on 4. So, Quicksilver Flask, and I probably should have explained this, but there's just so many things to explain in Path of Exile. It's like actually insane. So, to refill our flask, it's not on a cooldown, it's based on kills. But there are certain things that can modify the flask charge rate. But for the most part, get kills, it'll refill. But that green flask is called a Quicksilver Flask, and what that does is grants us extra movement speed. And that's a shrine. You click on it, it gives you some sort of bonus. But what we're looking for in the Flooded Depths is a boss, and the boss is going to give us...
I'm not up to that just yet.
A skill point. So what you can do is you can hold down dash, and it's just going to dash. You can also click on it. If I go here, and you can always attack without moving, and that could be actually pretty good, but sometimes it could be bad because it's going to actually make you move backwards, depending on the skill. For this one, I'm not going to enable it, but for certain skills, it is good. Okay, let's see where we got it. Oh, it's right here. Sometimes there's like that small sliver, and that's the exact path that you need to go. Okay, we're coming up to another essence. Awesome, that's great, because that progresses our itemization. Let's throw it on some of those turrets, and we could activate the essence while fighting him, but it could be a little bit challenging as we're still in the early game. We don't have insane survivability, but I'm confident in my skill that we can do it. But sometimes surrounding yourselves with too many enemies can be very dangerous, so be on the watch out for that. So we're gonna take this.
That would only slow me down.
We're gonna pick up these boots as well. Sometimes you gotta move around your inventory. The reason why I'm picking up these boots, maybe we don't really need them. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the character selection. This lets us teleport right back into town, and it's just a little bit faster. Now I'm going to put in another skill point here, so we get some extra life. And then I'm going to sell all of the gear that we do not need. So, like, for example, I mean, these could be good, I don't know, but, like, I don't really need the colors. I actually want to keep these gloves. So we're going to get rid of this. I mean, our other stuff gives us some extra regen. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. But I need more scrolls of wisdom. That's exactly what we need. This is just life. We can throw... What I like to do with the essences earlier on is usually do it on rings, but I specifically want sapphire rings to get extra resistances. We can actually, if we get a blue gem, we can get it with that. We can go to Tarkly, and he's going to give us a passive skill point.
Farewell.
Oh, there's also, I guess we have a glyph reward, so we can select a skill. If we want to, we can select puncture, which can actually do bleed. So if I want to, we could select that.
Stay sharp out.
It's just to show you guys more skills. But now we have a... do we have... We still don't have a scroll of wisdom. Okay, so I'm going to sell this just so we can get another scroll fragment, which will give us another scroll of wisdom. And now what we can do is we can purchase Onslaught. Onslaught is very, very good. I highly recommend you guys to pick up Onslaught. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put Onslaught in here, and when we hit a unique enemy, we have a 10% chance to grant ourselves Onslaught, and we have a 23% chance when we kill an enemy to get Onslaught. Onslaught is great for just moving around faster. It gives us, if I hold Alt, it should tell us what it does. 20% increased attack, cast, and movement speed. It's just so great in the very beginning. And with our Shrapnel Ballista, if I could throw something else on it, I would. I don't have enough room. I guess I can throw on Puncture right now. And with these gloves, I mean, honestly, this one could be useful. I'm just going to go sell them, though. Getting another scroll fragment. Or these transmute shards, they could be okay. I mean, ideally, we would identify these rings, and we hope it has some cold resistance. The reason why we want cold resistance is because the first boss in Act 1 hits heavily for cold damage. But yeah, check the pinned comment. I'll have all of the important quests done. So now what we need to do is we need to continue going. So last time we went over here. Now we're going to go... away from this area, and it'll give us the next zone. But yeah, the first act is always the longest with PoE. I got some like notes on the side over here. And so I know like kind of like about what we should be hitting for like the timestamp in, so yeah, we're good. But the more times we do the Forbidden Sanctum, the new league mechanic, the further we'll get behind in terms of progressing the campaign. And is it worth it to get some of the small rewards? Sure, it could be. But I honestly don't know how rewarding it is. Like if we were getting like a Chaos Orb every single time, I mean the Orb of Alchemy is okay. It's really not bad. Earlier on, it creates a yellow item off of a white item. So a white item is kind of like the blank slate, and you're basically upgrading your items in this game. And that's like a really nice thing to have earlier on. If I got like a 4 linked item, you can always check town. Sometimes they'll have them as well. We're out of mana here. So I'm just gonna activate our mana potion, throw down some of these, throw down the burn, or if you want to do some bleed, you can do it too. For the sake of showing off more skills, I'll show you guys puncture, so it applies the bleed, and they basically just take damage over time. I'm gonna keep burning arrow because I'm gonna be scaling elemental damage, and bleed is physical. Oh, that's not bad. We'll pick up that. Maybe we can throw an Orb of Alchemy on that. But if I didn't have a 3-link, yeah, I'd probably do that. Just because I want to be able to get as much damage as possible. And as you increase your links in the skills, it's going to cost more mana. Most of the time. There are certain things like Inspiration that will be exceptions to this rule. Get a nice little orb alteration here. And all these currencies can kind of be converted into another one. Like 5 of these equals 1 of these, 2 of these equals 1 of these, and just kind of goes down. So now we are at the ledge. This is where we want to be. If you want to, just feel free to throw down some turrets and move on. If you're able to like eliminate them fast enough, like you got the damage, feel free to do that. But more likely against the elites. Oh, if you see a red, blue, green link like that one right there, feel free to pick that up and I'll show you guys what that does. I don't really need puncture at this point. But you can still level up gems and you can sell gems to other players. Depending on what the league is, some are going to be more valuable than others. I pick up a lot of the iron rings earlier on. The reason why is if I get any essences, I like to usually use my essences on rings. Because rings are a little bit harder to get good stuff off. We're going to go ahead and grab this. Because it's going to give us extra physical damage. And we're going to convert our physical damage into other damage. Specifically, lightning is what I want to go for. But feel free to do what you want to. So make sure you keep on spamming your dash. We got the waypoint here. There's a strategy where what you can do is you can make a portal and then use this waypoint to go back into town and do the crab boss that we killed. That gave us the extra skill point. But we happen to see that thing first. It's kind of random a lot of times with some of the quests. But I'll make sure you guys get all the quests done all in the correct order for the axe so you can get your skill points ASAP. There are some strategies for speedrunning certain things where like you skip out on certain things, but for a newer beginner player, it's best to get the skill point basically ASAP because the faster you get the skill, the faster you're going to be able to, like, let's say, deal damage. Alright. Oh, nice. Shrapnel ballistas leveling up. I love the ballistas for earlier game. It's great. Now, even though this rustic sash is like kind of the same one we have, but it's blue, I would have to identify it. I don't know if I want to do that. Do I have a yellow ring? No yellow ring. If I had a yellow ring, I have a yellow amulet. Ooh, let's equip this. More damage. Add some fire damage, which is great. Because we're scaling all elemental. The reason why, like, even for Venom Gyre, which is a build that I like to play, which we can convert this into, it just uses a claw instead of a bow, is earlier on, getting elemental damage is much more consistent on bows earlier on, and the quiver is superior to most offhands, like a shield, in the very beginning. So we're gonna eliminate this guy. He applies a shock. So you see in the top left that those are our debuffs and buffs. So when he applies shock, that means you're going to be taking more damage based on the percent that it deals to you. So shock is a way where you can actually get killed very fast in this game. Next up, we're going to get finesse, and then we're going to get some extra attack. And well, we're going to get more movement speed very, very soon here. The reason why I like movement speed and attack speed is it's painful in terms of movement speed and attack speed earlier on. But later in the game, you get to move a lot faster. So once we're at the climb, we're just going to continue on. And I like how many essences we're getting. This is fantastic. So this is Essence of Greed. Great. So as far as this league goes, I don't know if they upped the amount of essences early on, but I can definitely tell you that's great. So you'll see a lot of AoEs that enemies throw down when you activate these essences, because they're going to be these different monsters that will have some sort of modifier in them. And just basically don't stand in things that... You'll see them, that they have colors. Just don't stand in. There's never a time where there's a buff that the enemy throws down, for the most part. There are certain maybe exceptions if you want to do like reverse like stuff, but for the most part, don't stand in those kinds of things. They'll get you killed. And we're just going to continue going. And if you die at any point, don't worry about it. There's a waypoint right there. So hopefully we won't get eliminated. Oh, we need to go over there. We can get the added lightning damage. Support gem, which will not be bad at all. So again, just make sure you keep on avoiding any AoE. That guy drops like a burning ground. That it does a significant amount of damage. I'm going to pick this up. We got the red, blue, green linked. Actually, this might not be that bad to keep. Let's go ahead and play some inventory Tetris here. We got a claw. The claws are really nice for leveling. The reason why, I'm going to identify one of these quivers. 3 to 5 and 15 to life. Not bad. Is because, again, it's relatively rare to get elemental like damage on claws compared to bows. It just seems a lot more like consistent to get it on bows. And since I'm kind of scaling bows, and I like to scale bows earlier on, and then if I want to go into claws, it's an option. But a lot of stuff is very similar. It's like projectile damage, extra projectiles. Alright, so now we're in the lower prison. We're going to get this waypoint. The last waypoint doesn't really matter. There are some waypoints that matter. This one, it kind of matters because you get it for free, basically. And on top of that, what we're looking for in the lower prison is going to be a Trial of Ascendency. This is how we're going to advance to our next class.
I'm not up to that just yet.
And I want to link some stuff with my... I want to get rid of the Pierce, because I don't really need it. But yeah, Split Arrow is just fantastic. But if you want to, Ice Shot is good. The only thing I really don't like leveling up with is Burning Arrow. I guess with Pierce it hits multiple, but like before you get what's called lesser multiple projectiles, which lets you shoot more, I think Split Arrow is fantastic for clearing content. So we're coming up to the first Trial of Ascendency. It has a little thing that you can talk to. It's kind of cool if you want to listen to it. We have another skill point. I'm going to put it into the elemental damage, and this will give us resistances very soon. I like to get resistances earlier on because it makes the game much easier. So this is going to be a little puzzle. Basically, we just walk by, and you can use your mobility skill here, and we're going to activate this lever, and the spikes are just going to basically continuously spin around, and we don't want to touch the spikes. If we touch the spikes, we will take massive amounts of damage. I'll show you how much damage we take. And we start bleeding. Bleeding is a way where you can die very, very easily earlier on, but I'm just going to pop a potion and we'll be okay. But since we hit that lever, this opens up the door. Ooh, let's see what else we get. Okay. But that is Orb of Fusing. Ooh, we're coming up. Ooh, got close to death. And that is because we are shocked. Shock will significantly increase the amount of damage we take, and earlier on it's very deadly. We got another one of those red, blue, greens. I'm gonna pick that up. I mean, this. I'm trying to think of what I want more. This will also be more valuable because it's gonna have better stats for us. So make sure you click on all the chests, and once you're at the very end of the trial, click on the Trial of Ascendency plaque, or the trial plaque. You go back in the portal. You're going to need to do a few of these to get to your advanced class, which in our case, it's going to be the Deadeye. This lets us ricochet our attacks off of walls, and it's so incredibly good. It's one of the best things in the entire game. Those boots are kind of nice for the linkage, but it doesn't have any rolls on it. If I really want to, like, I'll show you what an Orb of Alchemy does, because if I could get, this to be something, I mean, it's kind of a waste, honestly, on an Orb of Alchemy. Let's just do an Orb of Chance. Do we get movement speed? Nope. If the boots don't have movement speed, it's basically a no-go. But as long as you get that Trial of Ascendancy, that's what you need in the lower prison. Coming up to our first, like, bigger boss fight over here. And, oh, we got a strong box. So strong box is basically are enemies that will come out of the box, and they'll have some sort of downside usually when you activate them.
That would only slow me down.
What's this? 1 to 4. So there's what's called an item level on an item, and sometimes that can matter. I guess we could go back. I'm just gonna go back so we can sell some of the stuff. It's minor, but sometimes you can get an upgrade. We can actually, what we should have done is maybe got that orbit chance. Oh, this is unidentified, so I'll identify it. Crit strike, damage with bows versus the life. I'll take the life, so we'll just sell it. We got another quest reward. Lesser multiple projectiles is great. Added cold damage is great. Since split aura already gives me more damage. Now, lesser multiple projectiles will lower your damage, but we're going to be wanting this later because we want to actually run lightning arrow because I love lightning arrow. It's so great earlier on. It just melts content, but we won't get it until later in the game. But if you want to like save these for later, you can just hit escape and you can select your reward later if you want. But you can also see what's available to purchase. One thing that's really good is getting these sapphire rings, like I mentioned before. It's really great for the boss. Okay, so we can go over here and see what we can get. I think, do we have added lightning damage? Okay, certain classes will unlock certain things earlier and later in the game, but lightning arrow is one thing that I want. But you can just type in light and you can see what things may have lightning as the tag as well. But we don't get this until like later. It's basically towards the end of the act. I may want to get some other support gems. There's added cold damage, which again, since we're scaling elemental earlier on, if you want to type in support, you can also just type in sup, and you can see all the different support gems that you can get earlier on. I'm going to just get added cold damage. I don't need to purchase it with this because I'm going to get it with the reward. So we're going to get the added cold damage, but getting this is great too. So we're going to get the added cold damage, and then I'm also going to purchase the lesser multiple projectiles. And the reason why I want to get this is I want to start leveling this up. I already showed you guys the puncture. I don't really care about this. So I'm going to level this thing up, and then I'm going to remove Pierce, and I'm going to put added cold damage. That's going to significantly increase our damage, and I don't need Pierce anymore. If I want to, I mean, sure, I could throw it in with my other skill, and it might give us some bonus. But I can also add elemental damage to my shrapnel ballista. So right now I'm not really using the burning arrow mirage archer. It's not bad, but I would much rather use the shrapnel ballista and then add something else to it. So like, let's say I want to add, so this does not work with the shrapnel ballista, but if I go to purchase items over here, do I have a scroll wisdom? So I can get some other support gems. So what support gem would I want? Make sure the item it has a little check mark over. I'm just going to get this over here just so it gets the ability to apply more chill. And then if I want to, I can get rid of Mirage Archer, or I could still run it as another skill. I just don't have anything to run it with because I don't have 2 greens linked. So what we're going to do now is sell the rest of our inventory. Remember the red, green, and blue? If we sell these red, green, and blues, we get what's called a chromatic orb that re-rolls the colors on our items, which is really helpful. Don't want to get rid of these iron rings. I mean, these could be better, but like I'd have to use a scroll of wisdom to see if they're any good. If they were yellow, I'd keep them, but this one I can modify with the essence if I want to. But I specifically want to get, if I can, I think it was at 3. I need to get more of these. I need to get, if I can get this, I will use the Orb of Alchemy, or I can use the essence on it. And you can see that there's exclamation mark. Sometimes just come back to town and you'll see that you'll get some sort of rewards. But always go and once in a while check and see if the vendors have, like, this is a 3 link. Oh, that's pretty cool. There's a 3 link right there. But ideally, if we can get usually like Act 2 is where like you'll start to maybe see a little bit more of them. I know we can get rid of this. Let's go ahead and sell this. And we can Orb of Chance this. This isn't bad because this, if it goes to yellow, it'd be great. 8 strength. I mean, it's 33, 33. I think this is armor. This gives us extra dex. I don't really care about the other stats, so I'm going to go ahead and actually, if I can, do I have another scroll wisdom? I do. And if I want to, I could go, let's say, added fire damage. I'm looking at the elemental damage with attacks doesn't come till later, but that would be another great one. So Ancestral Call, we can't use that one. We can just get like added, added fire damage requires a transmutation. We have 19 transmutation shards. So let's see, if we sell this, we get some alteration shards. But we're so close to getting that. if we had some more identified items. Also in the town you have a stash, you can store your items in there. But also a thing I should mention. So I might have more stash tabs than you do, but it's fine. It doesn't really matter. It just means I have more inventory space. But those are microtransactions that you can get in the game. But let's go ahead and continue. So now our Shrapnel Ballista, I wish we had the transmutation, because then we could have gotten some extra stats. We got that added fire damage, but let's just keep on going. And over with this flask, you'll see that there's a yellow bar underneath. What that yellow bar is that indicates the duration, so how long it's lasting. But next act, we'll do a little bit more of the league mechanic. With this one, I'm just going to try to rush, because the length of Act 1 is quite long. Especially since we already engaged in 2 of the new mechanics. So if you want to pick these things up, sure, go for it. Ideally, at this point, we don't need to pick up like every single item. But there's the league mechanic. If you want to engage in it, feel free to do so. But for me, for Act 1, I'm just gonna try to power through it a little bit more, so we don't have this like first part be super long. So what we're looking for basically is the exit, and we're gonna be fighting a boss pretty soon. We're getting kind of low. Be careful. Go. Level up. And now we're going to get this, so we get some extra resistances. It's great. We're going to down here and get more elemental resistances. I like to get a decent amount of resistance early on. But yeah, if I didn't have the extra arrows, it would go significantly slower. But we'll get lightning arrow, and I love it. It's so great for clearing with lesser multiple projectiles. So we would do like lightning arrow, lesser multiple projectiles.
Quite sure of yourself, aren't you, Huntress?
And then like add lightning damage. That's usually what I like to go for earlier on. So we would want 2 green and 1 blue. So be on the lookout for any items that have like those specific colors linked up. You can also use these orbs of fusing right here to actually link the sockets. It's random on what you get in terms of like how many like links that it have. You can also change how many sockets the item has. Those are the green circles, or like any of the colored circles. There's also something called a white socket on certain items. Ooh, look at that. Oh, no, it's 2 blue. We need 2 green, 1 blue. So 2 blues does not help us out at all. Because lightning arrow is a green, and we have to put lesser multiple projectiles on that thing, otherwise the clear speed just becomes significantly slower. So here's our first like little major boss over here. And he's a little bit deadly. I would suggest staying kind of far away from him. He can pull you in. I'm just going to go ahead and put these by the door. It's almost like a Diablo 1 strategy over here. Yeah, just stay away. Do you see how much damage he does? He hits pretty hard. So he can pull you too. So make sure when you are fighting him, if you can, make sure he doesn't have a direct line of sight. Because if he pulls you, it's a very large chance that you may die. But we're a ranger, we gotta stay away. But later, what's cool with ranger is what we're gonna do is we're gonna get so much crit chance that it's gonna be a very high chance to crit. And when we crit, we knock the enemy back. So we can pretty much knock an enemy into the wall and have these projectiles ricochet off them, and it's fantastic. Kind of stuck. And if you do get stuck, you can use your dash. Some abilities will ignore unit collision, which is very helpful. These enemies, you got to be careful because when they die, some of them they'll like jump, and you'll take some damage over time.
This should put a dent in your
So she locks off this path. We're gonna access that later. So just keep throwing some shrapnel ballistas or shoot them as you progress. At this point, I think we're doing enough damage to where we can just throw these things down and move, and we'll be A-okay. This area right here might be the actual exit. The reason why we want to still like throw those things down is because it'll kill the enemies, therefore giving us XP, and also refilling our movement speed flask, which is the Quicksilver flask. Or leather belt, nice. We have a leather belts are great to have. I'm gonna throw this on. The reason why I like leather belts is because they roll with life. Certain items, like for example this rustic sash, they will roll with increased physical damage. Which, I mean, like, we can convert our physical damage to elemental as a percent. Oh, nice. Our ballista level up. Later we'll get a different ballista, but I love ballistas for leveling as it's just fast. Later we're going to get a ballista that shoots a projectile a lot further. These ones have very short range. Think of it kind of like a shotgun. So it's nice to have. The range isn't that bad, though. It's about maybe like a third of the screen, but the other one can hit targets a lot further away, and I like that one because these get placed. Oh, that's a very dangerous fight, but these get placed right at your toes. But if you come across like a large group where there's a lot of burn on the ground, just make sure you don't stand in that. But yeah, try to kill the blues, the yellows. Once again, I know sometimes I repeat myself, but it's just so I can reiterate, like, you want to do certain things in the game. We got an iron ring. We got a bow, but right now I got my 3-link in this, so it's not really going to be worth it to grab a different bow. Unless it has some insane amounts of, like, added damage. Or some insane stat that I really need. But don't feel like you have to kill every single enemy. So what we're looking for is the graveyard. And we're going to go ahead and find a girl at the bottom. So we can get extra damage. I actually really want this movement speed. It also gives us a chance to suppress damage with spell damage, and that's actually pretty helpful too. The next 3 skill points, if we put them in over here, they don't really do too much. I want to you get 3% and then 6% move speed. Move speed is actually pretty interesting because it's another form of defenses. So we're going to actually go to the cave. You may see Fairgraves first, which is totally fine if you see Fairgraves, which is like the pirate. And then he'll tell you to look for the quest. But what's cool with Path of Exile, for the most part, none of the quests you really have to accept. There are certain things where like you have to accept an item to progress in a quest, but for the most part, you don't have to go to an NPC, talk to him, hear about some story, and then get the quest. You can just like go. But if you see Fairgraves, he'll tell you about stuff, and then you can go over here. But if you want to engage in the mechanic, feel free to do so. But we're like almost an hour in, and I'd like to try to keep the parts as close to like an hour-ish possible. There's 10 acts in the game. There are a lot of acts that are short. The first act is always the longest for I think every single person. And the reason why is because you have no movement speed. And also this time we kind of checked out the new league, so that kind of put us back like 2 different like rooms. Another thing is while you're bleeding, if you want to prevent more damage, just stop moving. While you're moving while bleeding, you take extra damage. And some of it can be pretty nasty. It's based off the damage that you took. We're just going to keep going. So we found there's the slave girl. Got him down. Now we're getting to all flame. And we can go right back. What's nice is they put this little waypoint right here. Or not waypoint, but you could technically go back, but I don't remember if I clicked on the waypoint. No, we didn't, because it made a little like boom sound. All right, so now we're looking for Fargraves to progress. And if you want to check the name of the quest, it's called Marooned Mariner. So Dweller in the Deep and Marooned Mariner are the 2 quests that you need to do in this act. And the reason why is because they give you skill points. Skill points are very important. So how many turrets can we have? We have 3. I think it increases as we level them up. But later we can get some gems to make it a lot easier on the mana. Let's pick up this. So we do a helm. Okay, sure. We'll pick up the yellow items. let's see. Do we have 8? Okay, so we're good on that. Ooh, that's a lot of nice stats. What do I have in here that I don't need? I need dash. Okay, so we're gonna move dash over here and less from multiple projectiles to level up. I like this. I mean, this one gives us some fire res, but fire res doesn't really matter because it's transferred over, but it gives us extra life and some strength. I wish this, we could, what's called a scour orb, and we can convert this item into a white item. But I might just actually use an essence on, let's see, what does it do for a quiver? Physical attack damage leached. We could hit one of these up and see what we get. So let's see, 4 life. It's not really like that insane. I'd rather have the 15 life. So I'm gonna go throw some turrets down. I remember that chill effect. Oh, this is corrupted blood in Act 1. Wow, corrupted blood is very, very, very nasty. It does an insane amount of damage because it can start stacking up. So try not to get hit by those red orbs. So that monster has that like modifier. Okay, there we go. If we want to pick that up to sell, we can go ahead and do that as well. And now we're going to go back into town. We're going to get rid of all of the things that we don't need over here. If I want to hit this with a essence, I could do that. But what I'm really looking forward to getting is I'm still looking for that that sapphire ring. I want to try to get as much resistance as possible before fighting the end of the act boss. So here's our reward. Grab that. And let's go ahead and see if we can get some more sapphire rings. So we can roll over them. Some of them will cost the same, but they'll give us a different amount of resistance. Like this one, that's perfect. If I hold Alt, I can see that this one is a perfect one, and then this one over here is. You can see I'm getting all that resistance. All right. If I want to, I could Orb of Alchemy it. That just makes it a yellow item. But I'm going to throw the Essence of Creed on it, and we're gonna see what we get. Not really too many good stats, but like I said, the cold res is gonna be nice. I'm gonna get 2 of these, and it's gonna make the boss a cakewalk. It's gonna be so easy to do this boss because of that. So now we're getting extra movement speed. Movement speed is a form of defense, and the reason why is because if you just literally move out of the way, you're not getting hit, right? So now we're getting our first aura over here. So we're gonna get precision, and I'm gonna be leveling it up. That increases our what's called accuracy, and we can actually get something that gives us way more damage based off of like extra accuracy, and it's gonna be phenomenal. But if you want to type in auras, we actually get access to a few. Vitality is actually really nice to have earlier on. I'm going to go ahead and pick up Vitality, and I'm going to show you guys what that does. Clarity is great too. You can pick up both earlier on. And what an aura does, let me show you. We want Precision though. What am I not using? Oh, I'm not using Galvanic Arrow at all. Okay. Galvanic Arrow, I was just using it to show you guys it. It does hit for lightning damage. How does it look though? Let's see. It's not too bad considering I'm doing Elemental. Since I was leveling it up, I could just swap into it since I'm going to be getting extra elemental damage anyways. This converts some of the damage. Some of the skills will convert damage. Like this is 50% physical convert to lightning. And we can convert another 40% later. But this is what this skill does. And it can shock the enemy. I really like shock, but I like lightning arrows so much more. But since this actually like shoots out like 3, it's really not that bad. I'm actually kind of enjoying this. Alright, important thing though. So if I activate these 2 auras, Vitality and Precision, you can see it reduces our mana. I have a setting where I change the look of it, but normally I should show you guys this because it's actually kind of important. So, how do I kill these enemies? So I got my movement speed, and we're gonna go and we can grab 2 different things very soon that are gonna help out a lot. So under options, there's I think it's under UI where it's like reservation. Okay, so your mana may look like this when you activate it. I have it so it's disabled, so it just shows the mana in its full no matter what, but it's reducing our mana basically. If you want to enable it, feel free to change your settings, but basically it reduces our mana by that amount. But what do we get? So Vitality gives us some sort of life regen, and this is where I actually don't want to upgrade them. Like I don't upgrade these earlier on. Well, actually, Precision we can upgrade, but Vitality I just keep at level 1. It's just So like small amounts of life can be healed. It heals us for 10 life per second, which is actually pretty big in the earlier stages of the game. What we're looking for is the exit, which is the Cavern of Wrath. We're coming up towards the end of the act right now. Hopefully we get another essence. If we can, awesome. We're about to wrap up things for this act. And we'll teach you guys everything with this game. I'll just slowly give you guys the info because this game is very overwhelming. When people are like, download this, this is this third-party tool, and I understand it can get very overwhelming. So if you feel overwhelmed, don't be discouraged to keep going. A lot of people feel like that at the very earlier stages in the game. See if we can get some added damage to attacks. This would be massive. Woo! Yes! We're going to have to move some stuff. Oh my gosh. Alright, so what do we not need? We need to have dash. That's like a big one. Precision I do want. Because I do want to level this up because there's something very important. I don't have any like extra gem slots, right? What can you do? Well, I could convert this. Has energy shield, so it's a high chance to roll blue. Different colors will have a higher chance to roll certain things. But I'm going to have to forego that one right now. But it's okay. The reason why is the extra added damage to attacks is just so massive. Earlier on, so. Oh, we gotta reactivate precision. When you unequip the gem, you have to reactivate it. Put some turrets over there. Make this speed go a little faster. Ideally, we'd get lightning damage. But certain classes, like I believe the witch gets that one earlier on.
I'm not up to that just yet.
Maybe Shadow. But we're coming up towards the end of the act boss. And this is really important to get those rings with resistances. Specifically just cold res though. The rest of the resistances don't really matter in the first act. Fire resistance can be okay, but like it's AoE, you can see it, just don't stand in it and you'll be okay. But if I right click on it, it's gonna not level up the gem anymore. Like I said, I only cared about leveling it up for a certain amount. And these gloves are actually not bad. Extra fire res, some extra strength. So how this game works is intelligence gives us mana and energy shield. Strength gives us life and melee physical damage. Dexterity gives us accuracy and evasion. So what accuracy rating is that's your chance to hit. Spells in this game just hit. You don't have to worry about it, which is a really nice thing. But since we're playing Ranger, we don't really need to worry about accuracy rating too much because you get enough dexterity basically via the tree to be a-okay. But some classes you have to invest a bunch of skill points and it's kind of painful because it's just like your chance to hit, which like the spells just get a good amount like of scaling via levels as well. But if you feel like you're not a fan of like the current playstyle, it can change later. But if you're more a fan of casting, feel free to check out my other build guide for Arc. It's a fantastic skill. People just like different things. The only thing that I don't really recommend people to play is melee builds. Ooh, a Chaos Orb. That is actually fantastic. It's a small currency item that we'll be able to use in the next part of our play session here, which will be Act 2. I'll show you guys how to buy stuff. And don't feel like you have to engage it with trading with players. I know for some people, trading, they're like, I don't really want to trade items or whatever. Hey, it's all good. You do what you want to do. Alright. The next 3 skill points are kind of useless. They just give us plus dexterity, but we're trying to get this extra elemental damage and plus 15 to all res. And then we're going to get Elira, which gives us another 15. I just try to make it very, very beginner friendly. Getting us lots of resistances earlier on, giving us move speed so we can dodge the mechanics. But also to make it much faster. Like even if I wasn't doing a beginner's guide, I would always get attack speed, movement speed. It makes the game feel way better. Ooh, another essence. I can use that on my ring. Hatred, I believe it has to do with cold, right? So I think that might give us more cold res. Oh, with a ring? Oh, they're true. Oh, it's increased cold damage. Well, let's see what we have that we can get some. I'm probably gonna do it on my ring. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna do it on the ring because like I'm going to equip this ring regardless. Ooh. Ooh, we got fire, cold damage, attack speed, max life, everything. So now, looking at our defenses, if I just click on the defense tab over here, we can see our defenses. And our cold resistance is at 67, which basically means that we'll be totally fine. So we're coming up towards the boss. This is a boss. So this boss, just warn you guys, make sure you get these cold resistance rings. This is the time to maybe go back into town, see if you need anything, see if you can sell anything. We'll go back into town just to be ready for everything. We can get another. We get Siege Ballista over here. So this one I believe is the longer ballista. And we can also see if we need any other flasks. We actually didn't get any flasks as drops. But if you want to get some upgraded flasks, you want some extra support gems or whatever, look and see what you can get. So let's see if there's any cool supports that we don't have access to. Sometimes they do update these, like they'll put certain ones earlier on. Clarity is actually really nice to get if you can get it. This one is 3 to 5 fire. Do we have Orb of Chance? Let's see if we can Orb of Chance this one and see if we can get one of these to be a little bit better. Oh, extra cold resist. Hey, I'll take that. You can see, like, I'm just like, get all the cold resist. This is what's funny is this is actually one of the hardest bosses in the game, and it's weird because it's so early on, but it's just the way it is. I'll keep this extra iron ring. I don't know what item levels. We should have kept the ones that have the higher item level. But this one's already rolled, and I just want to use the Essences of Greeds on these. And if you want to, you can check the vendors just in case, like, you need that 3 link. Oh, there's one right there. Bam. What do we have right now? Oh, we're running Vitality in it. I mean, if I want to, I could throw in, like, something else in there. But looking, I think, oh, and 10% increased movement speed. These are goat hide boots. Oh, this is going to be awesome. Even though it gives us the same movement speed, I'll take the evasion rating. And on top of that, we also can go back to leveling up this. That's the reason why. So now we can get rid of these boots. And we are good. Alright, so once we are pretty much set up, I don't really know other upgrades. We can throw, well, this is what's called a whetstone. What it does is improves the quality of the item, which will increase our physical damage. But you can alter what it does later down the line. But they're not really worth putting into right now because, like, 1% extra damage off of 6 to 16 is basically no extra damage. So it's basically not super useful. But some of these other quests, if you want to do them, feel free to do them. But I'm just going to show you guys how to, like, play the game effectively. Because some of these quests will not give you a good reward at all. It's like nothing. But we're going to go ahead and use our turrets. If we want to, we can throw them the Siege Ballista, actually. The reason why I like the Siege Ballista is it's way longer ranged. And I value the longer range over anything else right now. But so this boss, when she uses her, like, ice storm that kind of falls down from the sky, stay away from that. Basically, it's the same strategy as we've been doing before. Just move and shoot, and you'll be a-okay. But this is definitely one of the more difficult bosses in the game. Some people think this is one of the hardest bosses in the game. And I'm not even kidding. That's not even over-exaggeration. The reason why is she slows you down, and your gear is, in the very beginning, usually isn't very good. But, like, you know, if you're following this guide, you'll have an a-okay time, no problem. Summon those ballistas. So that was her first phase. This is her second phase now. And during the second phase, there's these little, like, you know, ice, water spouts that come up. And because we have so much cold resistance, it's going to be a cakewalk. No problem at all. Ooh, it is gone.
That's what did this to you, Mervale.
So, pick up some stuff. So pick up all the yellows, and we'll just sell them basically to the merchant so we can get some extra small stuff. And now we're going to the southern forest. So, let's get to the next town, and that will be Act 2. Oh, there's a red, blue, green leaf. Remember, pick up all of those pretty much until like the end of the campaign. Once you finish the campaign, you don't really need to pick them up anymore. You'll get better currency, but still pick up chromatic orbs. But those are the things that we're trying to get with it. Ooh, a coral ring. That's just extra life. You can pick up coral rings if you want. Oops, I didn't actually want to enter this. Wait, oh, I forgot about this. Oh, this is one thing I recommend you guys to do. Okay, so you know how I was like, let's not interact with this because I want to speed through it. I think what you can do is you can store Sanctum. You can store 8 of these, so you can do them all at once, so it's more time efficient. So we'll start to do that. We'll like save up 8 of them, and then we'll do like one big run. That way we can go zoom much faster. So this yellow, okay, nothing. Put that one, nope, nothing. But now with that extra Chaos Orb, we're going to be able to maybe purchase something, and as the league goes on, items will get cheaper and cheaper. This is basically our like, think of this kind of like a 25 cent. Like if you're in the US, like this is like 25 cents. It's like you can buy some small stuff with it from other players. This is like a $1. It buys lots of like decent items that we can use pretty much throughout like most of the game. And then there's exalted orbs, which are anywhere from like 10 to 20 chaos orbs, which would be like a $10 bill or $20 bill, depending on sometimes fluctuation of the market. And then the divine orbs are like worth 100. Those are the $100, the big boys. But don't expect to see any of those like anytime soon. It's just kind of random on if you get lucky or not. I've gotten, like back in the day when Exalted Orbs were like 100 Chaos, I've gotten one in Act 2 before. It's just, they're really rare. You'll see a bunch of NPCs. Feel free to go ahead and talk to all of them if you want to, just so like it stops being there. But we have another skill point. Like I said, we're going to go down here, we're going to grab these, and then we're also going to grab this very soon. So that'll be in the next part, which will be part 2, Act 2. But anyways, this is going to go ahead and wrap up things for our part 1, Act 1 of our new player's beginner's guide. If this guide helped you guys out at all, feel free to go ahead and drop a like. It really helps out the channel. And if you guys want to see more of the entire playthrough, and this is your first time here, subscribe, turn that bell, and I'll be dropping part 2, 3, and all the acts, and we'll get you guys to endgame. And don't worry if you feel overwhelmed. This game is very overwhelming at the start, but I'll show you guys all of it, and I'll show you guys how to buy some stuff in the next part. But anyways, take care. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.